Police say they have captured the man accused of attacking a family because they were Japanese. A warrant had been issued for Dylan Kesterson's arrest after he failed to show up in court today. Good evening. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
And I'm Rick. I was waiting for Deb Knapp. Kesterson only spent a few hours behind bars. His initial charge of bias crime in the first degree allowed for his release almost immediately.
Katu's Kelly Ozer is live downtown tonight. Now that he's been caught, Kelly, he won't be getting back out.
That is a pretty safe bet at this point. So there's two reasons for that. One of the reasons is had he even showed up to court this morning, he likely would have been jailed because his charges changed. And because those charges were increased, it would have required him to be locked up. Now, another reason is, as you mentioned, there was a warrant out for his arrest, which is how they made that arrest this afternoon. That was that was a bench warrant without bail. So he will be behind bars.
Dylan Kesterson is accused of a bias crime, specifically attacking and assaulting a Japanese family on the Eastbank Esplanade.
All right, Mr. Kesterson, can you hear me?
In court on the phone, we heard from both Kesterson and his victim. His victim, whom we are not naming, described the terrifying encounter.
He was focusing on hitting our heads and not other parts of our body. And we felt we may be killed. So this is a very horrible experience for us.
The victim pleaded to have Kesterson put behind bars because he never was when he was arrested. New pretrial release rules in Oregon and Multnomah County allowed Kesterson to get out of jail the same day he was booked. In the new rules, bias crimes fall into that category, depending on the person's criminal history and whether the person has skipped court. Kesterson had no pending cases in Oregon and no history of skipping court until today. With his new charges ranging from bias crime to assault, whether he skipped court or not, he would have been jailed. The victim in this case says he's worried for other Asians.
I hope to avoid exposing the other people in danger because of this deranged man.
So we have learned from police how Kesterson was ultimately caught today. They tell us that just not far from here, from the courthouse, he was seen by an off-duty officer just walking around. That's when he called other officers he knew to be in the area to come and apprehend him.
State of gun violence in the city of Portland is one in which has not been and is not acceptable to any of us.
Many say gun violence in Portland is out of hand. Now, a community oversight group for the police bureau wants them to use a controversial new technology to help reduce gun violence in the city, but not everybody is on board just yet. Good evening. Thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn. It's called ShotSpotter, and it's used in more than 100 cities in the U.S. to pinpoint where gunfire is happening using audio sensors. Katu's Eric Mock joins us live with a story now. And Eric, how do they think this technology would help?
You know, this community oversight group that's over the focused intervention team with Portland Police Bureau says they believe this is going to help police officers respond quicker to gunfire incidents, and especially in cases where no one calls 911 to report them, which we know sometimes happens. But a lot of people in the community and even some city leaders have a lot of concerns with bringing this technology here. It's clear Portland's seeing a large increase in gun violence. Portland police statistics confirm the number of shooting incidents is rising at an alarming rate, which is why the Focused Intervention Team's Community Oversight Group, or FITCOG, wants the city to try a new technology to help combat the violence.
Our heart and our desire is that we do something other than what we've been doing, because obviously it has not been enough.
That's FITCOG Chair Pastor Ed Williams speaking at a June FITCOG meeting. The group plans to recommend that the city start using the ShotSpotter technology, which uses audio sensors placed in certain parts of a city to detect gunshots, pinpoint the location of the shots, and alert police to where it happened. FITCOG has been investigating the technology for months now, even traveling to Florida to see how Tampa law enforcement uses it.
FITCOG believed that after all we have learned, what we've discovered, and what we've heard, and we've heard both the pluses and the minuses, but we believe that in the totality of it all, that ShotSpotter is a technology for for police operations that we believe could have a positive impact on the fight against gun violence in the city of Portland.
But not everyone thinks the technology will help. Law enforcement in Chicago used ShotSpotter, and Portland community organizer Andre Miller said at a June meeting that it hasn't done much there to reduce gun violence.
ShotSpotter is actually not a deterrent for gun violence. It does not address any root causes for gun violence. In Chicago, they're still facing 4 to 5 shootings almost per day.
And City Commissioner Joanne Hardesty said in a statement about ShotSpotter, in part, quote, "I still need to know how the Portland police plan to manage this with their ongoing staffing vacancies and reports of long response times when people call 911. She also said she worries about where these audio sensors would be placed. Williams says this isn't the whole solution, but he says they've done their homework on this, and it's something Portland police can do soon to try and bring down the rampant gun violence.
Never ever did any of his actions expecting something in return, which unfortunately, that was his last act on this earth.
Kevin McDowell died trying to help someone else. He saw a woman struggling to swim in the Columbia River and didn't second guess jumping right in. He ended up drowning. The woman survived. His loved ones say his final act exemplified the man he was. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for K2 News at 6, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
And I'm Rick Gazaway, in for Deborah Knapp. K2's Genevieve Rayoma is live for us in Northeast Portland. Genevieve, Kevin McDowell was leaving quite a legacy.
Certainly is, right. The GoFundMe alone tells a story. Tens of thousands of dollars donated in Kevin McDowell's honor. That's how many lives he touched, whether it was here at the bar he owned off of Northeast Broadway or just out in the community.
We started off as, just acquaintances, and then really that transformed into a brotherhood, close to a decade long.
To Jasper Rose, Kevin McDowell was family.
He had so much love to give.
The two best friends taking on the city of Portland side by side.
Selfless, caring, loving.
There are many great words to describe Kevin. But silence shows how deeply he touched those around him.
It's hard.
Kevin had a niece he adored, a fiance he loved, a community who cared about him, and a heart as big as his smile.
There's a lot of people that show fake love or want something in return for, just the way they love people, but he did it with no expectations.
His generosity knew no limit. His death as evidence, trying to save someone in danger.
Whether he knew you like a brother or literally just met you 10 seconds ago, that's who Kevin was.
K2 interviewed Kevin multiple times, both random occurrences, which happened to be sports related.
This kind of energy and the kind of resources that comes behind a person like Phil Knight.
When news broke that Phil Knight wanted to buy the Blazers, we talked to Kevin at Spirit of 77. A year prior, outside the same bar, during the Blazers playoff run, his pride for Portland on display.
I'm always at either here or Two Wrongs or River Pig.
Building other bars up, despite dealing with the same pandemic challenges himself.
Being a bar owner, it's been really, really tough to try to get people out.
You didn't need a decade of friendship to sense Kevin's kindness. He could make you smile in just a few seconds.
His last phone call to me was literally just to tell me, "I love you and I'm proud of you, brother." That was literally it. It was like 30 seconds long. He's like, "All right, bro, I gotta go. I'm gonna holler at you." But, that was Kevin McDowell. And I love you, bro, and I miss you.